Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my March TBR. I can say that February is going as a really good reading month for me. I have not been reading that many books in terms of number, but the quality of the books that I'm reading is really good if you ask me, because I've experienced a lot of different genres in February and I can say that most of them have been a really good experience so far. I'm filming this on the 19th of February, so I can fit in at least one or two more books for this month before the month ends. So I've included some books which are part of a series that come after the books which I'm yet to read in this month, and also I'm going to majorly focus on series when it comes to March, because I'm planning to wrap up certain series as well as catch up with some others, so there will be very low standalones in this TBR. Without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. The first book is the only standalone in this TBR, and I'm definitely sure that many people will be excited to know my thoughts on this book, because many of you guys have been asking me separately itself, and it is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've actually read only one other book by this author, which is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That too I read 2 years back, but I can say that I enjoyed that book completely from the first page to the last. It's also one of my all-time favorite books. I don't talk about it that much here in the channel, but personally I love that book so much. After having read that book, I'm sure that this author's writing style is super unique and he knows how to set the book as well as write the characters really well. In this book, Malibu Rising, we actually follow this end of summer party that is hosted by a very famous family that has 4 siblings of a world famous musician, and what happens during this time is that the entire book happens just within a 24-hour time span. Most of the book actually takes place in the night time, because that's when a party usually gets its peak, right? So I'm sure this is also going to be super glamorous, just like The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I trust the author when it comes to the setup more than anything. I've heard mixed reviews of this one all over the internet, but the people whom I frequently talk to here on booktube as well as on bookstagram have said really good things about this one, so I have high expectations. Let's just wait and see, but I'm very excited to get to this. Next, I want to talk about the series. So most of the books that I'm going to talk about from now on are going to be part of a series. Of these, the first 2 books which I want to talk about are Brisingr and Inheritance, which are the third and final books in the Inheritance cycle quartet. I just reread Aragon in the beginning of February, and there is almost a week for me to end February, so by the time the month is over, I'll finish reading the second book, which is Eldest also. Many of you guys have been wanting me to read the series and review it for over a year now, and it's time that I read it. I can say that after having reread the first book, I have more interest to read the series and continue on with it also. Since I'm on a really good reading mood, I just want to finish off the series and see whether it's worth it or not. I've heard that it is very heavily inspired by all the other previous fantasy works written by some of the pioneers inside the genre. While I reread Aragon itself, I was able to see a lot of traces from the Fellowship of the Ring in Aragon itself. I had not read the Fellowship of the Ring the first time I read Aragon, so I was not able to see that 2 to 3 years back. But when I read the book this time, I was able to see a lot of connections to the Fellowship of the Ring, and I can understand that there will be things like this inside the series, because the author published it when he was 17. He was not even an adult then. So I think the age in which he published the series, it is very appreciable, and I can say that it is decently written. I like the dragon lore inside the series rather than anything else. I'm most interested to see how it progresses on in the other 3 books in the series. I have not read Eldest by the point I'm filming this video, but after I finish this, I'm going to start the book and I'll definitely finish it by the end of February, and after that I'm going to read these 2, and probably I'll do an entire spoiler-free review for the series itself. So let's just wait and see. I've heard that the series gets a bit worse as the books go on, but I still want to give it a chance and see it for myself. Let's just wait and see whether I enjoy it or not. The next 2 books or the series in this TBR is probably the one series which I'm excited for the most to read in March, and I'm sure that even if I don't read any of the other books in this TBR, I'll definitely be reading these 2, and it's the King of Scars duology by Leigh Bardugo. I've actually read the first book, King of Scars, far back in 2020. I even remember that I read King of Scars in the March of 2020. So it's been 2 years and I don't remember everything from this as such. Because of that, I'm going to give this a reread and then move on to Rule of Fools. I also have the audiobooks for both of them, so probably I'll listen to the audiobooks and follow on with the physical books, but I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I also reread the Shadow and Bone series in 2021 before the Netflix show released, and I did not reread Six of Crows, and I'm not going to reread that also because I have a clearer memory of the Six of Crows series rather than any of other Leigh Bardugo books, and I'm also very much interested to see how Rule of Fools progresses, because King of Scars is definitely my least favorite of all the books inside the Grishaverse so far, and I also read it very slowly, so I'm expecting to just keep on with the pace and read it properly and enjoy completely also. There are some decisions that Leigh took towards the end of King of Scars which I hope get resolved in Rule of Fools. I asked some friends of mine on Instagram as well as here on YouTube again who have read Rule of Fools, and they said that it is far better compared to King of Scars, and it also ends up the series in a really good place. I just hope that it happens properly, because this is definitely my all-time favorite series and Leigh Bardugo is my all-time favorite author. So yeah, the King of Scars duology is on my TBR. The next one is The Well of Ascension, which is the second book inside the Mistborn trilogy, first era. I actually read The Final Empire as part of a book club in February, and I can say that I enjoyed it completely. I just finished reading this book this morning, that is the time that I'm filming this video, and I can say that it was highly political and super action packed. The magic system inside this one is just a chef's kiss, and I completely enjoyed it the whole time. We have another book which we have picked to read in March. I'll be talking about it later on in the video. But as of now, since I enjoyed this so much, I just want to keep up with the pace and read the other two books inside the series also. I have not bought the other two yet, but I'm sure that I'll be buying them by the end of the month. And also, once I finish reading the first era, I just want to continue on with the second era and read the Cosmere entirely. There's only one drawback for me when it comes to this series. It is that the audiobooks are not available anywhere for us here in India to buy or stream on, and I don't know why. It's not even available in Audible. So I'll definitely be reading the books in the series physically, just as I did for this one. This one itself is super huge, and it is the shortest of all the 3 books inside the trilogy. So I'm sure that it'll take quite a bit of time for me to read the other 2 books also. I'm sure I will enjoy them, and I'm also planning to do some spoiler-free plus spoiler-filled discussions for this series as a whole as I read each and every book. Let's just wait and see how it's going to go. The next one is our book club pick for March, and it is Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by Gregory Maguire. This is actually a retelling of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I have not read that one itself before we decided this pick, so I just went forward and listened to the audiobook on Audible, which is also available for free to listen in the Audible Plus catalog. It's just 4 hours long, and I was able to finish it in like 1 or 2 days. It was really good for a children's classic, and I'm sure that after reading that one, I'm very much interested to see the retelling of this one, because this book seems to be like a retelling of the antagonist's past from the book. 2 to 3 people in our group have already finished reading this one, and they are going to reread it along with us. So I'm super excited to get into this one also. It's also the first book in a series. I think it's a series of retellings from different children's classics like this one itself. I'm also not sure whether I'll be listening to the audiobook for this one or I'll be reading a physical copy. I've not decided that yet. Let's just wait and see how it's going to go. But as of now, I'm super excited for this one. At last, I just want to add some children's books in this TBR, and they are all by Roald Dahl. I have 4 books here. The first one is Fantastic Mr. Fox. Next, we have Matilda, which is probably his most famous book, James and the Giant Peach, and Danny, the Champion of the World. All of these 4 books are children's books, and the reason that I'm including them in this TBR because all the other books that I've included in this TBR except Malibu Rising are over 500 pages long, and they are all fantasy, so it might be a bit intimidating for me to read throughout the month. I'm not sure whether I'll be reading these or not, but I just want a proper structure for me to read during March because I'm going to read really huge books. I think these might help me in that way. So yeah, these are the last 4 books in the TBR. So yes guys, those are all the books in my March TBR, and I'm super excited to read all of them because most of them are parts of series which I definitely want to read. Don't forget to leave your March TBR if you have one in the comments below so that I can look through the books that you are planning to read in the next month. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.